Okay, so where are you feeling stuck? How can I help you? How do you feel like you want this to run? Do you want to practice? Do you want to do a pull together? Do you want me to do one to kind of show you how I do it? What are you thinking?
Um, my biggest thing is I never know which one to pick.
Okay.
And especially with tarot, I'm still learning what they mean, and I have all your stuff printed out. Um, but I'm like, and I know it's just about learning them, but like I've just been going online, like reading your generalizations, and then going online to the Biddy Tarot, like what does this mean? What does this mean? So the more I do it, the more I'll get it, I guess.
Totally. It is very much practice and knowledge, but I also want you to remember like your clairs. So, sometimes, I mean, I personally, some tarot card readers don't feel this way. I personally like to have the knowledge of each card. And then, but sometimes now when I read, it has nothing to do with the actual definition of the card. It's more about receiving from the card based on where my energy is going. For example,
Yeah.
um, if I pull the moon card and for some reason I'm focusing on in the card like the water and it feels in my body heavy, I might understand that as like someone is on their moon cycle and having like really intense cramps or something like that. So nothing to do with the definition of the card, but then what we would do is likely how it would end up happening is through the intuitive hit of, oh, you're on your period, then it would come through as part of the definition from the card. So, um, maybe that person has ovarian cysts or something and has always suffered from cramps or doesn't get their period every month or something. And the reason that I would understand that is because um, the moon oftentimes represents fear. And so it'd be like, okay, you're having your period. What are you scared of about your period? And understanding that this is a phase and we are linked to the earth and the universe around us. What does that mean to you? And then maybe we'd have the information, but then we'd pull another card that would be a guidance card for how to best move through that. So I know you
Right.
didn't even just ask me a question, but just to kind of explain, like sometimes I don't want you to feel discouraged if you are like receiving information from the card, but it doesn't seem to have anything to do with the definition. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
that's why I like this sheet because you can literally just be like, oh, I just pulled a king of swords. So here's kind of what it means.
Yeah.
So then I can think, okay, how does that, before I look it up, okay, what's going on with me and how does that relate to me?
Yes.
Try to maybe get that and then look it up.
Yeah.
That's what I've sort
Exactly.
of been trying to do. But my biggest hurdle is um, getting my head of which card to grab. And so I have been just doing okay, it's this one. But
Yes.
because my head gets out of the way and my brain gets out of the way. Um, but I want to learn better how to fan them out all pretty and feel which one to take. And I've been like asking, did I look at them? Because one time that did work, just to look at them and grab one. But then I tried that again. I'm like, oh, now I'm just guessing. I mean, I guess you're not really guessing.
Yeah, and it's
Um,
a really big challenge, just so you know. So okay, so my first question is, do you know what is your dominant clair?
I think it is. I think it's claircognizant.
Okay,
I
so
think
that's perfect. And we all
clairsentient.
have clairsentient, so you
Feel it and know it.
feel it and know it.
Yeah,
Okay. And we all have all of them. It's just learning
yeah,
to develop those. So what I would recommend then when you're choosing your card is, and also you might want to check in with yourself each day, like, okay, which clair feels the strongest today? Is it my feeling? Is it my knowing? Is it my seeing? Because if it's your clairvoyance that day, and clairvoyance doesn't always mean looking into the future, right? Sometimes it mostly means that you're seeing things, that you're seeing things clearly, not in front of your eyes all the time, but like, for example, if I was using my clairvoyance on this card, I would really, really look at the card and see where my eyes were focusing. So maybe my eyes one day, for some reason, are focusing on the trees. And that's the message. Maybe another day, my eyes are really focusing on the butterflies. So then that's where the message lies.
How
So,
weird. That's the King of Swords, which is what I just said.
yeah, you're right. That is, hey, that was at the top of the deck there. That's
Yeah.
so confirmations, right? Um,
Yeah.
but so with that then comes, so like that is what clairvoyance is, kind of where your focus goes. And I think a lot of people get confused with it meaning like psychic. It can mean psychic, but it's more the understanding of the where the energy and where you're receiving from. So you may want to and then maybe one day you're more clairaudient. You're like, my ears have been ringing like crazy lately, like I don't know what that is. But so then you want to lean into that to choose your cards.
Okay.
So I'm going to link these two things I'm about to tell you together in a moment. So your clair is number one. Number two, your intuitive yes. So when you do your split deck, as you were just showing me, like dropping in this way,
Uh-huh.
you could easily be like, no, no, it's split wrong. Like you could easily,
Yeah.
be like, okay, that's where it split. Oh, shoot. Is that where it split? Okay, wait, no, I'm going to do that. And that
Yeah.
was the one, right? You know what the feeling yes is. So I want you to start practicing like when you split the deck and you're like, yep, that's the split. What does that feel like in your body? Or what is that? What do you know in your body? Like, do you
Okay.
hear a yes in your head? Do you like for me, when I'm both doing the split deck and when I fan them out, I feel it in my stomach, like quite literally. Sometimes I feel it in my hand. I feel like usually that's when I get distracted in my head. Or if I'm for some reason like having digestion issues that day or something, my team will make my hand buzz. And then I check in. Then my second check is with my gut. So I'll kind of, it almost feels like a magnet or like heat. So I'll,
Uh-huh.
and then I'm like, ooh, okay. And then I move my hand just really slightly. This is when the cards are like this. We'll move my hand really slightly. And then sometimes, even like where I put my finger down, sometimes that might not even feel right. So I'll still feel, and I will literally touch every card until I get that hit in my stomach. Because
Okay.
for me, I know that that's my yes. So, for
Yeah.
example, sometimes I'll touch this card and I'm like, no. And then I touch this card and I'm like, no. And I've gone through all of these cards and it's still a no. And I'm like, well, wait, you gave me the buzziness in my hand here. So it's somewhere here. So that's when sometimes I'll go like this. And I'm like,
Oh.
oh, two cards. And I'll get a yes for two. And then I
Ah.
pull two. So usually that's, so this still happens to me also, just so you know, like sometimes it's hard to connect. And sometimes it's hard to trust our gut, especially if we're going through a lot in our minds and our brain and it's really loud. So that's a really great tool to have, but you will eventually develop where you're just like, oh, that's it. Boom, got it. Oh, no, we need two more. Okay, go. Like it does start to get faster. The last thing I'll share with you is sometimes if I'm scanning, this is not a pretty layout. We'll do a real one in a second, but sometimes if I'm scanning and like I feel okay, it's here. I put my finger down. Do you see how there's so many cards under here? There's
Yeah.
like four cards. If it
Yeah.
feels right to pull all four, I pull all four. And then this fifth one snuck out with it. So,
Yeah.
like it's okay to do that. You just want to be mindful that you're not pulling like 20 cards because then it
Right.
just
Right.
gets too crazy. Um,
Yeah.
so to combine those two together, we want your intuitive yes that day, or rather, we want your clairs to support your intuitive yes in
Yeah.
whatever way that you feel it. So if you're predominantly claircognizant, you're like, oh no, I just know it's that one. Great. If you're predominantly clairsentient, it's no, I felt that in my body or I felt that in my hand. clairaudient that day, you might hear a ringing in your ears when it's the card. And then clairvoyant, if you do, like, I close my eyes when I pull cards because it kind of gets me out of my head. It forces me to listen to my body. But if
Uh-huh.
you're feeling called to keep your eyes open, you can like really focus on, why do my eyes keep going back there? You know, why do my eyes keep going to that card? That's clairvoyance. And so
Yeah.
pulling that card. Does that make sense? Is that
No,
helpful?
totally. Yeah, totally makes sense. I need to, and I've thought about just meditating and asking, show me my intuitive yes, like give me asking, can you let me know what my feeling is? It was sort of yawning there for a while,
Yeah.
and maybe it still is. I it might be, I don't know. Um, for certain thing, like I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
like you're pulling cards, it's something different, but yeah, I guess maybe I just need to say, help me understand what my intuitive yes feels like,
Yeah. And
or
sometimes too, it works. I feel like I want to do a practice with you, Leslie, where you're pulling cards for me, because you're going to be surprised how accurate it is. And when we're doing this, I want you to focus on your body. Even if you're like,
okay,
I don't feel anything. And remember, we talked about like sometimes not feeling anything could be your yes. If you're always in a state of like this, and then you go like this, that's your yes. Not that that's you, but you know, it's like the relaxation could be. And the final piece I was going to share with you with the yawning specifically, yawning is essentially a deep breath, right? So
all
for
right,
you to receive your intuitive yes, maybe not force a yawn, but maybe that can be your starting point, like a deep breath to recenter and kind of quiet the mind, so then you can feel the body. It might be interesting to experiment with that.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Do you want to do a practice one?
sure. I'm nervous.
Don't be nervous. It's fun, and it can't be wrong. Like, we're always divinely
Right,
guided. And that's, people always ask me like, I'm brand new to tarot. I'm like, you can get in your own way and make the reading
yeah,
wrong, but the cards aren't going to be wrong because our teams are guiding us, right?
right,
So don't be
right.
nervous. I was going to say one thing. Um, oh, do you want to just do it and I'll watch, or do you want me to like guide you as you're going?
Guide me as I'm going.
Okay. Okay,
Okay,
cool.
yeah,
So let's see how
yeah.
you start.
Okay. So I would, should I tilt down? Can you see?
Hmm.
Um, okay, so I would spread them out.
I would do a shuffle first,
Okay.
just to make sure, especially if you're pulling for someone else and for yourself too. You want to make sure kind of what the shuffle does is it's almost like a reset from your team. So like they have a chance to move the cards around. It's not really,
Oh,
I
that's good.
suppose,
Yeah.
necessary because they're going to guide you to the card anyway. But for some reason, I just feel like it's almost
That
like if
makes
you've been
sense.
sitting in the box or on the shelf for a long time. This is kind of like a
Yeah.
little, okay, good morning, welcome back.
I love the way this is, well, you'll get it. I love the way they feel,
Yes,
you know,
they are. They're
as
so
opposed
lovely.
to like, now I keep amassing all these other decks. But I love the way these ones feel.
Yeah, it's a good one. The Rider Waite deck is it's a really, I
Yeah.
also think, I mean, obviously like logistically, that's not the right word. Like tangibly they feel really good, but there's something about the Rider Waite deck just being the original cards that just
Yeah.
feels really sacred and lovely.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Okay, so I shuffle them and I'm going to spread them.
Beautiful.
And then I always feel like I have to like make them,
And
because
I
they're
do the
always,
same thing. I like that. And it's evenly spread. I do the same.
yeah, evenly spread so they look all pretty.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I get a little, oh, here they are all looking at me, right?
Yeah.
And then I kind of get stuck.
So you always want to remember that to work with your cards, we have to tell them where we need guidance. You can say, please show me broad guidance, overall guidance on this topic, but they need an intention. So, and
Okay.
you need an intention too, because if you just start pulling cards, you're going to be like, wait, what does this mean? I don't even know what I asked. right? So you
Right.
can get as broad or as specific as you like, but there does need to be intention behind it. So do you want to do a poll for you and I can guide you, or do you want to do a poll for me?
For me,
Okay, so you do it.
because
So
I don't know how much I will be pulling for another person.
that's perfect. Okay, but we are, before I let you go, we're going to do one for me just as a confidence builder, but we'll start
Okay.
with yours first. So,
Okay.
um, okay, so where, and you don't have to tell me if you don't want to, but where, what area do you feel that you want some guidance on?
Um, okay, let's do this is crazy weird. I woke up yesterday with a swollen eye.
Okay.
I think I got face moisturizer in it, whatever. But let's just say what's going on with my left eye.
Perfect. Okay, so show me what I need to know about my left eye.
So show me what I need to know about my left eye.
Yep, and then you can just start scanning. There's no right or wrong amount of cards that you can pull, just whatever feels right to you.
Okay.
And just pay attention to your body and your thoughts, and like you're listening.
Okay. This one standing out. Oh, and then this one came with it. Okay, so these two. And then sometimes I don't even know what they are yet.
Okay, so you have the 9 of Cups. Oh, I see.
Right?
Okay, yours don't have, so mine says like King of Wands. Like,
It says it on some of them on the major cards, but it doesn't say that. Like I think they're really, really like old timey.
yeah, they are. So that one is the 10 of Pentacles. And I know this sounds so silly, but remember you can always count. So if you
Oh,
know
right.
suits, you can
Duh.
count how many are in there. So
Okay.
you started with your first card was the 9 of Cups, and then your
Yeah.
second card was the 10 of Pentacles. So how would you read those for yourself?
So I know the 10 means an ending
Hmm.
or a finalizing of something to do with finance or home or health,
Hmm.
pentacles, right?
Yep.
And then the cups, 9 is almost finishing something. I guess they came out in a different order. But the cups are about emotions, intuition, feminine energy, inner work, empathy, relationships. So maybe, maybe I'm literally finishing up with something emotional, almost done, and then really done with something more tangible.
And remember your question. What was your intention?
My intention was what's going on with my left eye. So it was health related.
Hmm.
So I'm I could be almost done clearing something emotional health wise, that something maybe, now this is just coming to me out of the blue, something maybe I'm seeing or something to do with my eye, right?
Hmm.
Um, and then the 10 of Pentacles. As I'm trying, and I'm just looking at to see what it even looks like.
Perfect. That's a great step.
Yeah, sometimes I just focus on, like, he's all proud and happy that he's almost done with
Hmm.
whatever this is, the 9 of Cups. And then over here, it's like a big fancy dude in a fancy robe with dogs, and then people talking. Yeah, I'm not really sure.
So maybe bounty and abundance, or happiness with family.
Oh yeah, that could be totally like his family
Hmm.
and his big house in the background. And
And if
then an
you're
upside
focusing on him,
down.
he almost looks like an emperor in a way. So mastery. or even just
Yeah.
the grandfather, right? The patriarch of that family, the mastery, the
Yeah.
knowledge.
Yeah. Gray hair and a beard, and then two dogs and a little kid who looks like he's peeking out behind his mom. So I don't know.
How
Now I
can
would be
we
like,
connect these together? What does this message mean for you? You said proud to be almost complete with emotional circumstances. And then the 10 is completion with bounty, with family, with finance, based on what you picked up from that card. So, what does that message together mean to you? There's no right or wrong.
I'm not sure how they tie together.
So, maybe it's going to require, right? And you mentioned your eye, your perception, seeing things clearly for what they are, allowing your emotions to rise and actually come up and out so that you can see them, that you're not blinded and getting like puffy eyes because you're trying to keep them closed the whole time, so that you
Hmm.
may get to the 10 and completion.
Oh, so the completion is what I'm working toward.
If you want it, I mean, I love the 10 of Pentacles. I'm like, yes, please, to the money and the family and the joy and the dogs and the sunshine.
Yeah.
But yeah, and for me, so if I were to read these cards for you, knowing what you told me about the eye, I would have said, I'm really proud of you for picking up on the eye, because that's a really like specific and small place. The only thing I might add with this to receive from that 9 of cups, because cups are emotions, what may, and you mentioned like that you got some moisturizer or something in your eye, what may have distracted you emotionally as to where you were not present when you were applying that moisturizer. So what currently is emotionally, or is, yeah, are the emotions that are distracting you from seeing clearly, that's
Oh,
preventing you from getting to that bounty and abundance?
ah,
Does that
that
make
makes
sense?
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I don't know
So
the
it is like
answer, but
thinking about the whole situation. That's the one beautiful thing about reading for yourself. You know everything. It's also a
right.
double-edged sword, because it's like, well, of course I know this. So like why did the cards need to tell me? I know what's going on. But when we
Yeah.
can quiet that brain space out and think, okay, I know exactly what happened in this situation. So what do they want me to know about that situation?
Yes, I get that made sense what you said that the something getting in the way of me being able to fully enjoy the 10 of Pentacles.
Yes. And so
Interesting.
now I would take it one step further. If you don't know what the something is, if you're like, okay, well, what are the emotions? Sometimes that
Yeah,
happens, you're reading tarot and you're like, okay, well, I understand what you're telling me, but I don't understand, but I don't know what it is. You can
right.
pick
Then
another
I,
card.
yeah,
And
okay. So yeah, I definitely want to pick another card. And I'm just looking at them and grabbing,
perfect.
you
And it
know.
sounds like your clairvoyance is really heightened today. The way that you were looking at that 10, you were like really looking at it. So I would lean into that exactly as you
Okay.
just said.
Okay. So picking, um, so it's the 5 of Wands.
Okay, so lean into your clairvoyance. We ask, what is the emotional cause, right? What are the emotions?
Yes. And no, not wands, swords. Five
Swords.
of Swords. Um, so I have to look at my cheat sheet.
That's okay.
And the swords are the mind, huh? Action oriented, swift, bold, intense thoughts, analytical, human brain, observation, challenge, Oh, my brain is getting in the way. Like everyone tells me, my brain is getting in the way of everything. And the 5 meaning like, I don't,
If you're unsure about the numbers, that's okay. Focus more on
Okay.
the image.
Okay. Yeah. So he looks to me like he's like gathering up the swords, I think. He's got two in his arms, holding one, and two are down, and it looks like there's two other guys that either he's beaten or they're walking away. It looks like one might be crying or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. So he's beaten them and now he's collecting their swords.
Yeah. He's like, haha, I won.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Totally.
And
So
so
he
go ahead. I'm sorry.
he seems kind of happy that he beat them. I'm like proud.
Mm-hmm. That's the second time too you've said the word proud. With
Oh.
the nine, and with this
Oh right.
swords now.
Oh my God. You're good. Um
You're good. You're doing it.
yeah,
So remember, we asked, always come back to your intention or your question. What
yeah, what
is the emotion that is distracting me?
pride.
Mm.
That makes total sense. That makes total sense because you're putting like stuff on your face to make it look better or different,
Hmm.
and it's like stop with that
And with
shit.
it too, it could also be pride in the form of fear. Many times we take action because we're scared that we might lose face, right? And
Yeah.
or because we're scared, and just because I know of your situation in life right now, part of me is like, I wonder, I know that this is the I, but I wonder if this actually has something to do with like your work situation where you're like, I don't want to leave, but I kind of want to leave, but I don't want to leave, but I kind of want to leave, but I'm scared to leave, but I also enjoy it. Do I need to? Right? It's kind of like this
Yes.
push and pull. And
Yeah.
that feeling is likely stopping you from seeing all the other opportunities of flowing abundance that are coming for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other part that I'm feeling when that pride just clicked is about is about age and looks
Mhm.
and like oh my God, I gotta put my eye cream on. Oh my God, I gotta put my
You,
face
sister, I have dark circles all the time and I'm 27. So
on.
it's just, but I hear you.
Um, yeah, it's like, because I mean, intuitively, when I first finally figured out, at first I couldn't figure out what happened.
Hmm.
Like, I had the doors open, is it allergies, whatever, and then I realized because I saw, oh, like you got something in your eye, you were putting your gunk on, and then I was like, why are you spending money and putting that on? Like what honestly, that's kind of I mean, yeah, you want to take care of your skin, but like it's not gonna change. You don't need to change the way your face looks,
Exactly.
basically, right? So I kind of heard that like at some point in the
Yeah.
last
And
relationship.
so
So
then this is confirmation for that as well, letting you know, like, yes, hello, like you're beautiful, you're good. Just be happy. Let the
yeah,
joy come.
that makes sense, the pride. So now I feel like I want to pull like an action card,
Love that.
right? And I think, and here's the other thing that happens when I look. I tend to start looking in the same area,
Mhm.
and then I think, no, I need to go somewhere else, but maybe I don't.
Let yourself go. The other thing I'll share with you too is sometimes that is very telling. So for me, and especially in Reiki sessions as well, and now it's started translating into tarot, um, the left and the right represent the masculine and the feminine. So
Ooh.
a lot of times if I'm like only pulling from the right side, which is the masculine, I'm like, all right, like I'm really in my head, or this person is very analytical, or they're really up here. If I'm always pulling from the left side, I'm like, okay, you're in your divine feminine, which also means that you're acting from emotions, heart space. So that can
That's
be really
where
telling.
he came from, the right. I mean, the left, the
Yeah.
feminine.
So it's a really cool little extra tool. So if you're like, even if all of your reading only comes from this much of your spread, that's
Uh-huh.
okay.
Okay, that makes sense because I know exactly that I want this one. And I have to stop. I need to just grab it and I have to stop like holding it down in case another one wants to come, right? Because I'm kind of like trying to be too careful.
Yeah, and it's okay. It's also the way people pull their cards kind of reflects how they move through life. Like some people, like Sam, for example, my fiance, he's just like, "Bunk, bunk," and I'm like, you're not even paying attention. He's like, yes, I am. But then I think about it and I'm like, oh, that's how he goes through life. He's just like, yep, action oriented, like, let's do this. And for me, I'm like, okay, which is it? Where are you?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
listening.
yeah.
And that's how I move through life. So it's kind of reflective of how we are.
And does he knows what they all mean, or does he have you
Oh no,
interpret them?
I read for him, but I let him
Okay,
choose them.
hold them.
Yes.
That's amazing. Okay, so it's the Eight of Pentacles.
Okay. So this is your action, right?
So, and he's like working on a pentacle. He's making something. Um, so my action is to, oh, interesting. In your descriptions, I just saw the word steady,
Hmm.
steady, practical, nurturing, pentacles. So just keep working, just work.
Yeah, keep going, maybe. Like working
Yeah.
sometimes can make our brain be like, I gotta do. It's funny what words can do. But yeah, and I like that the steady word, you're definitely clairvoyant. Just the way that you pull information out. When you focused on steady. So I was gonna say, like, continue doing the work, which is steady
So
forward movement.
steady. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and like the work is, so what is the work? Like, is that continuing to work on calming ego down? Is that calming mind down? Is that um, working and telling yourself a mantra every day that has to do with the pride piece that you picked out, right? And just, it doesn't have to be like some huge, massive thing, right? Steady, but just continuing to do it.
Yeah. And that's a good, yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess it's just keep practicing, keep working at what I'm doing,
Exactly.
I guess. So
Perfect.
I didn't look any of them up, so I don't even know what they really are supposed to mean.
And if you look them up after this, you'll see that there are similarities in the definitions. Like the Eight of Pentacles card is literally keep doing the work. Keep, like, that guy is just sitting there with his pentacle and he's like, okay, made another one. All right, stick it up. Okay, next one, made
Yeah.
another one, stick it up. And so that's what it means. The Ten of Pentacles is all about abundance. The Five of Pentacles is about like this push and pull of winning and losing, which does have to do with pride, right? So when you go back, you'll see that, everything is very representative of
Yeah.
the definition of the card. So by focusing on the card itself and listening to what's coming through for you, you're doing it.
Cool.
And you just did it.
I want to take a picture of it so I can go back and
Do it.
look them up so we can mix them up again. Okay.
Perfect.
Cool. Okay. That was helpful. Okay.
Yeah.
That was helpful. Yeah.
Okay, now you have to do one for me, please.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Trust me, it's gonna feel really good afterwards.
Okay.
So the
Um,
only challenging part here is um when in person, usually for me, actually it depends, it really depends. If I have the person choose their cards or if I choose them for them, it really depends on the situation. um but what we'll do is, I just want you to trust. We'll connect our energy in a second if you're comfortable with that. Um,
Uh-huh.
just so that your brain is like, oh yeah, okay, this is for Francis.
Okay.
So I like to do that with a deep round of breath. So literally just inhale and exhale together.
Okay.
I'm gonna mute myself because there's a truck. Oh wait, it's going by really fast. Okay, so that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll let you guide it. So I usually, and you can do it however you want to. For me, I usually count 1, 2, 3, and then inhale and exhale together, and then I shuffle the cards. So I'll let you guide me.
Okay. Okay. So we're going to take 3 deep breaths on the count of 1, 2, 3. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. And one more. Okay.
Perfect. Okay, so
And
then you can
now
start to shuffle.
shuffle for Francis's highest and best.
Thank you.
Okay. And spread them out. Honestly, for the longest time, like I can't spread my starseed cards. They don't spread. Like
Yeah,
the way
they're
um
they're stickier.
yeah, exactly. And so I was so excited when these like spread because I don't know, that just looks fancier.
I love it.
Okay, so now I'll ask you, what are we pulling on today?
Okay, let's see. Um, I've been going through phases of like really resisting action, whether it's working out or answering emails or doing the one thing that I know is going to take me 5 minutes that I just for some reason keep putting off. So maybe some guidance on how to either understand what the resistance is. Yeah, maybe what is the resistance and then how to move through the resistance.
Okay, so we're pulling on what is the resistance. So I wanted to see if I can feel anything first. I think I have to look.
Okay.
This one is popping. So I didn't shuffle them very well. 10 of Pentacles.
That's great.
10 of Pentacles. So since you since only one came out and that was your question, then we would just go by this one card, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so the 10 of Pentacles. So something is completing. But here's I'm like, I don't know. For you, right?
Remember, yeah, that's okay. Remember the card and remember for me, my question is sort of like I don't want to call resistance negative, but for lack of a better term, resistance is not a great thing, right? So that's a really positive card in my eyes. So, how could that positive meaning of that card be causing me something not so positive?
Okay. So perhaps the 10 of Pentacles. Perhaps you're resisting um, something positive for some reason,
Totally. Very
right?
plausible.
Right? Like maybe if you find, yeah, maybe that completion of in finances or family or abundance says something to you that makes you not want to reach it.
Can we pull another card to see what that is, please?
Yes. Let's find out why.
Yeah. I need to know.
Because now I want to know. The Two of Wands.
Okay. Interesting. So
Why
what
am
is
I holding it over here? The camera's right here. Yeah, I just figured it out. Now I see what you do during the Facebook thing.
right?
Yeah.
I'm like, where is it? Yeah.
Okay, so the Two of Wands. So slow moving growth. He has the world in his hand. He's looking over water. So now let's see why. And two is the beginning, toward the beginning. So if I look at wands real quick, you can see its growth. Okay, let me see. Why would you be resistant to this? So this has to do with starting, which is hard, which you're saying is hard for you. But you have the world in your hands. So just start. I don't know.
That's great guidance. Just start. What I received from that card is when he's holding the world, it's both sides. So it's like, yeah, you have the world in your hands, but where are you going? For me, what I received from that is I'm I the resistance to abundance and to joy and all of that, which I have too. It's like sometimes it can also be distracting for me. I'm like, well, everything's really good, so it's fine. The other side of it is I want it so badly, not so much abundance, but for me, like having a family, like a healthy, happy family one day is just something that's super important to me. That 10 of Pentacles card really represents that for me. And so that's the other thing quickly. You will start to develop your own dictionary for your cards, like what
Right.
they mean for you. So just making note of that mentally as well. So for me, because I want that healthy, happy family one day, even though it's like, work related, it's all kind of linked, right? It's like financially able to support my family and have enough time to be the mom that I want, but also still do what I love in service, right? So that's kind of that 10 part. So for me, then, the fear of, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do all of that. I don't really know how to create lasting abundance so that I can still be a mother. I don't exactly know where I'm going. And it's still the beginning. So I'm like, I'm just not going to do it today because I don't know what the next step is.
Yes, and how can you well, now I'm just going off of what I heard you say. Now I'm like your therapist. How can you do it all and do it all well and make sure it's all healthy and abundant, your business, your family, everything? That's scary. I get that.
Yes. I'm just
okay,
on mute because of the trash truck.
Gotcha. Okay, so now we would pull a card, an action card, maybe? Yes. Okay. Francis's action card. Temperance.
I just have to interject because the temperance card is exactly what you just said. How can you do it all? She's 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Yes, 1 foot in, 1 foot out with her cups and her wings. And does the number, like I'm so bad at Roman numerals, as we used to call them. Does that matter for her?
For me, the way that I read, it doesn't, but a lot of people, especially if you're into numerology, it does carry weight. So it's really up to you and how you understand the card.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't even say anything to me, so I guess that means it doesn't. But
Yeah.
yeah, she has 1 foot in, 1 foot out. She's what is she doing with the cups, with the water?
Is any water spilling out?
No, she's able to fill both cups. Family business. Um, and her wings are protecting her, and she's connected, and so she's doing the whole thing. And then there's the sun in the background. And I don't know. I get the 1 foot in, 1 foot out of the water, but I'm not sure. Water may be meaning flowing, like going with the flow. It's all good, kind of, basically.
I love it. I'll take it. I'm like,
Okay.
yeah, please may I please be temperance.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's all right. But yeah, I mean, for me, that really resonates because I'm like, yeah, it does require balance. And for me, the final piece, like if I were to get that card and be reading it for myself, it's that what you mentioned with the connection, like the crown and the connection, or the her light here. Um, it like I have to take care of me so I can take care of the other. I have to make sure my cup is full so
Oh
that
yeah.
I can do all of the rest. I have to make sure that my emotions are okay and in check. I need to make sure I'm staying connected and still practicing my spiritual connection so that I can then hold the space to do the rest. Because if you look at her feet too, I'm just kind of envisioning the card in my mind. This is how I'd read it for myself. And obviously, I'm sharing this with you too because you mentioned you're mainly going to be reading for you. So knowing my situation is helpful in this case. So I would look at her feet and be like, it's 1 foot in, 1 foot out, but it's actually quite unstable down there. Like she's kind of on her tippy toes. And so if I'm not in check up here,
Oh yeah.
I might fall over. And so
Oh my
it's
God.
okay to
Yeah.
have 1 foot in and 1 foot out, be in the flow and the grace of life, but also to make sure that I'm very grounded on earth, to make sure that part of it is in water. Also, for me, represents fertility. So that's the family. And then the groundedness is the abundance in, my offerings to my clients. So it's that balance. But again, if all the rest, like if I lose my balance down there, I'm going to drop my water.
Yes.
I'm gonna not be connected. So it's important that I'm taking care of this while also taking care of what's down there,
Wow.
which is a
Yeah.
great action step for me to start practicing now,
Yes.
so that I'm like, okay, even if you don't know where you're going, because who can ever plan for that, you at least have the ability and the tools to stay stable in doing both.
Yes.
And like
Interesting.
essentially don't fear the unknown and don't fear not having joy, abundance, bounty, whatever it is. There's also, I'm talking as if you are my therapist. There's also, again, this is the power of reading for yourself though. So I'm pretending that I pulled these cards for me. As I'm talking it out, it's the understanding that like I'm scared of losing the joy that I have. And so I don't want to change anything
Yeah. You don't want to
because
move forward because it's good where it is. And if you move
exactly
forward and it could change and it might not be as good.
right, which is no way to move through life.
Right.
So in order to move through that fear and to move through that resistance, it's trusting in my connection with that temperance card, trusting that I have the angels behind me, and keeping that balance of flow and stability, groundedness and connection, making sure my cup is full so I can do the rest. So you see how by knowing my situation and myself so deeply as we do as humans, I can receive more from the card than just what the card said. For you, also, by the way, like I would never expect someone else to have said what I just said because you don't know those parts of me. Right.
Right. Right.
So,
Right. Right.
unless it was like an extreme intuitive and I was like, whoa. But when reading tarot, like we may have gotten the highlights of those messages, but then after the fact, I probably would have taken my notes and like gone and journaled and received the rest on my own.
Right. Or I would have said, think, look them up, think about them, whatever, like you always say, because there's more stuff maybe that would resonate with you.
Yeah.
But what I find amazing is the card so well that like you knew all the little things about her feet, and so I feel like I just need to like maybe just like look at each card and kind of like be like, oh look, he's on, you know, he's proud, that other card, or he looks
Yeah.
proud, so that when I draw them, then I know, to me, oh, this guy always looks like he's proud to me, or she always looks like she's right.
And one day you might look at him and be like, you look prideful, not proud. And that
Um,
might be part of your message. You know what I mean? So they can
right,
change based on your perception or your mood that day. And that's not that you're doing anything wrong. That's part of your team working with you so you can receive that information. So
right,
I really, really value what you just said in and believe in that, like looking at the cards, studying the cards, not so much, yes, study the definitions, have your foundation, but by just knowing so deeply the card, you're able to understand it and develop your dictionary around those cards as well.
right. So yeah, just sit with them, look at them, especially the major ones, so that like when like because when like you would have known exactly what she means to you, if I had pulled her and showed you would have been like, oh, like that means all this. Or if you had pulled it for yourself, whereas I was like, well, this, and this, because some of them I've never even seen, right?
Totally. Yeah, and it does. It's a little bit of a learning curve, but um yeah, and again, I know you mentioned you don't particularly feel that you're going to read for others, but know too, like even if I know the cards, I value your interpretation of the card because I'm open and asking you to do it for me. So I never, if you do
Right.
for other people, I don't want you to get scared like, oh my God, well, they think that card means this. In that moment, it doesn't matter because you have your definition and that person is asking for your guidance. Yeah.
And then I could say, and whatever this card means to you, look it up or whatever, because you've said that to me, especially about the strength card.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, take her, look at her, meditate with her, whatever.
Yeah.
And now that makes sense to me, because at first I was like, okay, but now I kind of get that.
Good. Okay.
Okay, that makes sense.
Awesome. Well, thank
Cool.
you for my reading. That was super helpful. I have to remember, okay, so it's okay to be afraid, but you're not going to let it stagnate you. Or keep your balance, keep your connection, fill up your own cup. Okay,
Yes.
got it. Thank
Right.
you.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay.
Awesome, Leslie. Do you have any other questions for me? How are you feeling? Do you feel a little bit more confident?
I do. I feel more confident. I feel like I'm gonna like literally sit and look at all the cards, just like spend time with them, with your notes, so that I know like basically what they represent, but like looking at the pictures too.
And remember, like, if you want to experiment and just do it without the notes and just see and then cross reference backwards, that might be, it's all about, it's as with anything in life, it takes practice. And we kind of need those little confidence boosters to be like, oh, wait, I did know that, or I did receive that. And sometimes, again, not that you have to read for other people, but sometimes reading for another person tells you like, oh, I am doing it. Like you just did it for me.